Welcome to the Explainer. Today we are tackling a huge topic, how to build a real cyber fortress. And we're not just making it up, we're using the official plans from the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST. So let's just start with this pretty stark warning straight from NIST. The cyber threat is outpacing efforts to reduce vulnerabilities. What that really means is the bad guys are getting faster and smarter, and our defenses, well, they're struggling to keep up. We're in a race, and frankly, we're at risk of falling behind. And that really sets up the fundamental problem for just about everyone these days, right? If what we've been doing isn't working fast enough, what's the game plan? How do you build something that can actually stand up to modern threats?
To figure that out, we're going to use a really simple analogy. Think about building a secure structure, like a fortress. You can't just show up and start stacking bricks. No, you need two critical things. You need a high-level architect's blueprint, and you need a super detailed building code. Because let's be honest, the cybersecurity world can feel, well, just chaotic. There's a constant storm of new threats, new regulations, new technologies. So to bring some order to all that chaos, NIST gives us two foundational guides. And these aren't just obscure government documents. They're basically the gold standard for both government and private industry. So first up, let's talk about our architect's blueprint. This is the NIST Cybersecurity Framework, or CSF for short. This is our strategic plan. It's not about getting lost in the weeds. It's about setting the high-level vision, the what we're building and the why it matters. And the beauty of the CSF is that it's all about flexibility. It's focused on outcomes. See, it doesn't give you a rigid, one-size-fits-all checklist. Instead, it defines what a successful, secure organization looks like. And then it trusts you to figure out the best way to get there. Now, at the heart of this blueprint is something called the CSF core, and it's organized around these key functions. If we stick with our fortress analogy, think of govern as the solid foundation, protect as the strong walls and the locked gates, and detect as the alarm system. You absolutely need all of them. Okay, now this is where it gets really powerful. The CSF uses something called profiles. Your current profile is basically a snapshot of the house you have today. Your target profile, that's the impenetrable fortress you want to build. And by comparing the two, boom, you can see exactly where your gaps are. And finally, there are the tiers. This is basically how you measure your progress. It's a maturity scale. Are your security practices kind of ad hoc and partial? Or are they all the way up at adaptive, where you're constantly learning and evolving? It gives you a clear path to get better. All right, so we've got this amazing blueprint. But you can't build a fortress with just a blueprint, right? You need the detailed, nitty-gritty instructions for the people actually doing the work. You need the building code. And that's where NIST Special Publication 800-53 comes into play. If the CSF is our high-level strategy, then 853 is all about tactics. It's the massive, exhaustive manual of all the specific rules and requirements. So what's a control? It's just a safeguard, a specific action you take. In our analogy, these are the individual rules in the building code. Things like what kind of locks have to be on the doors, what material the firewall is made of, how the wiring needs to be secured. And when I say detailed, I mean really detailed. We are talking about over 1,000 individual controls in this catalog. It covers everything you could possibly think of, from access control to making sure your supply chain is secure. Okay, so this is the most important part. How do these two things, the high-level blueprint and the super detailed building code, actually connect and work together? How does the plan become reality? Let's look at an example. First, our blueprint. The CSF gives us a big picture strategic goal. It says something like, okay, you need to manage all the identities and credentials for your authorized users. That's the high-level what. Great, but how do we actually do that? Well, now we flip open our building code, SP 853, and it gives us a very specific rule, a control, like this one. Lock a device automatically after it's been inactive for a while. And there it is, a specific tactical action that directly helps us achieve that big strategic goal. And this really just sums it all up perfectly. On one side, you have the CSF, the blueprint. It's strategic, it's the what and the why. It's a flexible framework. On the other side, you have SP 853, the building code. It's tactical, it's the how. It's a detailed catalog of rules. They aren't two different options, they're two sides of the same coin. All right, so we get the theory. We have the blueprint. We have the building code. How does a real organization take the stuff off the paper and actually start building a stronger defense in the real world? Well, it boils down to this simple but really powerful four-step loop. First, you plan your strategy using the CSF. Then you map those goals to the specific rules in SP 853. Third, you build your defenses by actually putting those rules into practice. And finally, you measure your progress using the CSF tiers. And then you start the cycle all over again. It's all about continuous improvement. So if you remember just one thing from all this, let it be this. The CSF is your strategic blueprint. It tells you what to build. SP 853 is your tactical building code. It tells you how to build it. They are designed to work together to give any organization, big or small, a clear, structured, and flexible way to get serious about security.
And we'll leave you with this final thought. Your organization almost certainly has a plan for physical disasters like fires or floods. But a solid plan always needs both the architect's vision and the engineer's detailed code to make sure the structure is strong. So the question is your plan for a cyber attack built on that same solid foundation?